Monday, July 22nd. For those of you who do not know me, my name is David Scoltetti. I'm checking in from Naples, Florida, and it's absolutely awesome to be with you. For those of you who are brand new, we do this brand night every Monday night, same bat channel, same bat time. And our goal is to educate you on one of the many brands within My Daily Choice, not only on what the product is, but how, but more importantly, what it does, the value behind it, and how you can go about not only consuming but marketing it. So it's really exciting. So to get things kicked off tonight, we have Jordan Monroe. For those of you who do not know Jordan, she's been an entrepreneur her entire life. Everything from network marketing to Airbnb. She's a $1 million earner. She's a mama of two amazing young boys, and she really kind of leads the charge here on our Monday nights with our brand night. But if as you get introduced to this brand tonight, if you have questions, please post them in the chat. Okay, and we will get those questions answered for you. But tonight, it's an amazing brand. It's one of the more popular brands within My Daily Choice. So, Jojo, I'm going to hand it off to you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pied Piper, and welcome everyone. If you are new, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight. One of the biggest assets we have in our life, which could also be a liability if we don't use it well, is time. And so thank you for taking your time to be here. And if you don't know about MDC Marketplace, we are a hub. We are a hub of over 36 brands in over 10 multi-billion and trillion-dollar categories. And our goal every week is to show you how you can swap where you shop, turn everyday liabilities, things that cost you money, into assets, things that have the ability to be income producing assets and cash flow for you. And this one, y'all, this brand with this human being, Cannabis Cowboy, Chris Robinson, one of the top affiliates in MDC, super duper trooper affiliate, is one that every household needs to have. And Chris, I am so grateful to have you here. I have gotten to know you over the last year or so, and man, not only are you just the most fun to build with, but you are the most clear, concise, and you know what, transparent human that's building this business. And so will you share with everyone how over the decades of being in this industry, you have just killed it and ended up at MDC?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thank you, Jordan, for running this call and doing what you do on Monday nights. And of course, Pied Piper for everything he does, not just for this team, but Dave does a lot for this company. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'm in the chats and on the calls. So I just got to say, thank you, sir. Appreciate all your input, your wisdom, and everything you bring into My Daily Choice. So with that being said, I also got to say, like, this team is like, I do a lot of team calls, and this is one of my favorite teams. I'll actually say it, my favorite team. You guys have more nicknames and shenanigans going on in this team than any other team out there in My Daily Choice. You guys are just a lot of fun. That's why you're growing. That's why you're being successful, because that's what this business is all about, having fun, making money, and getting some extra time in life. So to the task at hand, Fuel Factor X. What an incredible product that it is. And more importantly, what an incredible industry that it falls into. I mean, I'll get into the whole background and stuff here in a minute, but if you really think about it, there's not a product anywhere in network marketing that is more consumable than Fuel Factor X. It doesn't exist. I mean, I've been in this industry a long time. I've been around other companies. For me personally, a little background on me is, I grew up lower middle class, Idaho. My dad worked for other farmers, other ranchers, different things, ended up being a long haul truck driver. I ended up dropping out of school when I was 15 years old. That was the education I received, which is kind of funny because now I sit on a school board. So I think I'm the only person in the world that dropped out of high school that sits on a school board. But anyways, that's just kind of my background. I grew up, just get up, go to work. And by work, it's not do Zooms. And it was, dig post holes in lava rock, build fences, things like that. And, and I was just taught to work with great work ethic from an early age. And honestly, my dad probably had me wore out before I was even 18 years old. So I wanted to find a different venture that wasn't, 14 hours a day in the sun, sweating everywhere. And so I actually started my own construction company when I was 19 and a half, 20 years old. I ran that all the way up until just this last December. I closed down a 22-year-old company just because I didn't need it no more. Didn't want to do it no more. I like my passion's here and it's in agriculture. And so construction wasn't my gig. But anyways, let's go back to 2008. Who remembers 2008? It's eerily familiar to what's been happening in the last, 18 months now. Fuel prices spiked for the first time. Inflation goes through the roof. People can't make their mortgages. There's a housing crisis coming upon us. And I was caught up in that. That time I was like 26 years old. I want to say 25 years old. I had a construction company at that time. I had a large construction company. Actually, I had a trucking company. We was running 18 over the road semis in all 48 states. So they're just burning fuel nonstop. Same with construction sites. That heavy equipment burns lots of fuel. I was doing a little farming and stuff on the side at that time. But if you put it all together, at that time, I spent about $100,000 US a month on fuel. At 25 years old, I had $100,000 fuel bill. I mean, it was crazy. And fuel prices doubled in like a quarter and a half, like literally 5-6 months, fuel prices doubled. And so now I had $100,000 problem, right? Because I went from $100,000 to $200,000 a month in fuel. And, I went and I was on the hunt looking for a solution. I looked into alternative fuels like biodiesel at that time. I mean, we was going around to restaurants, getting their oil out of their deep fryers, trying to figure out how to make it burn in our, it was crazy. I mean, we wasted a lot of money and time, and I was trying all sorts of different fuel additive products, fuel supplement products. And after about a year of diving in, I walked into my friend's office that actually he was a mechanic. He had a mechanic shop and a used car dealership. And he said, "Hey, you still looking to save money on fuel?" And I said, "Yeah." And he threw me this. Had a different label on it, but it was this bottle. He threw me a bottle out and he said, "Go put that in your truck." I said, "John, you are crazy. I've tried 1,000 different products. They don't work. And besides that, my truck's new. It's not going to work on a new truck. They come out of the factory getting the best fuel economy possible." I gave him all these reasons. He said, "Just try it. I'm not charging you for it. Go use it." So I took it, and about 30 or 40 days later, he called me and he said, "How's that product working for you?" I said, "I don't think it works." He says, "You haven't put it in your truck, have you?" I said, "Nope." So then I knew he was onto something, because he knew the only reason it wasn't working because I didn't try it. I said, "All right, I'll start trying tomorrow." So I had a good baseline, and I put it in my truck, and I realized after about 4 or 5 tanks, my fuel economy was up about 14.5, 15%. And I was like, wow, I'm crazy. So I went and bought some more from him, gave it to my foreman on the construction site, my fleet manager, a few of my different truck drivers. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, they was all reporting back the same thing, 12, 13%. And I'm going, man, this is going to net me 20 grand a month just in my own personal fuel use. So I grabbed my checkbook, drove the hour down to Utah where his office was, and asked me if I could buy the rights for Utah and Idaho. And he told me that wasn't possible because it was a pre-launch of a network marketing company. I grew up in an Amway house, like every Wednesday night at 7. We're in our bedrooms. You don't come back out till school the next morning, and you just shut up and you don't make noise because there's nobody coming to that living room with the guy doing the presentation and my parents, but we still had to be quiet. So I wanted nothing to do with it. I've been around it my whole life. And he explains to me, "No, this is different. You got to think." And he literally asked me to go to lunch right there. He put me in his car. We drove 2 hours to Salt Lake City, Utah for lunch, which happened to be the corporate office they were moving into for the company that had the fuel treatment at that time. So anyways, they talked me into signing up. I was coerced. I signed up, and it was the best thing I ever did. I started making phone calls, talking to people. It was easy to sell a product, saving people money that was crippling the economy. I mean, fuel is doing the same thing now. And great, easy conversation to have. So, kind of fast forward a little bit. I sold that product there. I was with that company from 2008 to 2014. I dropped out of high school, do that math. I was there that long. After about a year in that company, I was in the company for 90 days and I was on the advisory board. 90 days in the whole entire industry. They put me on it. They thought I was David Scoltetti. I'm not that smart, especially when it comes to this industry, but they put me on the advisory board. So then I started learning corporate stuff, started learning what makes these companies tick, different things. And then I was pretty soon the #1 income earner for about 8 months. And after about that period of time, we had a convention. We'd had 2 pre-launch conventions. I was the last guy on stage getting the big award. And then after about a year in the business, I was not the last guy on stage. They promoted a new #1 income earner, and he was an 18-year-old kid from Baltimore, Maryland, named Josh Swig. So that's when I met Josh, is right after he had pushed me off the podium and said, I get the mic last now, it's my turn. And this kid, literally, he was a kid. He was 18 years old. He stand on stage, delivers a brilliant 3 or 4 minute, recognition speech. And I'm like, wow, he's smart. So we were cross-line, wasn't even on the same team, but we ended up on the advisory council. Then pretty soon him and I did all the international expansion for that company. In 2014, he called me, wants to start MDC. We started MDC, My Daily Choice, with 3 products. Literally, we started with 3 of these sprays. These aren't them, but Peak Boost and Shield. You guys are, some of you are familiar with those great products. Our own nutritional line's awesome. And so we ran that, of course, seeing the whole HempWorx thing. I know we're talking about a lot of different products here, but back to Fuel Factor X, when fuel prices, we knew fuel prices were going to go up again. And the night, if you guys remember, I don't know if any of you watch news ever, or whatever you do, or social media, the night Putin invaded Ukraine, and they're talking about, our president's on TVs, we're shutting down their pipelines. At that time, fuel was like $1.90. We knew it was coming. So we got on the phone at 10 o'clock at night, struck a deal with the manufacturer of Fuel Factor X, and it became part of My Daily Choice. So if you really look at it all, we got the product that got Josh and I both in the industry came full circle and now is owned by My Daily Choice and sold literally around the world. But, for those of you going, okay, that's a great story, but what does this product do, right? What can I expect to see? How does it work? This product actually wasn't even new in 2008. If you go clear back to 1973, there was a scientist named Ernst Otto Fisher and his partner named George Wilkinson that was approached by a small conglomerate called NASA. A lot of you don't know this. I'm about to blow your mind. NASA approached these guys and asked them if they could make fuel burn the same, because on a rocket, there's 2 boosters. And they were going up in space like this, and they're trying to get fuel to burn efficiently and an even burn. So they put together a chemical called an organometallic, which is the catalyst in Fuel Factor X. And it works so well, they actually won the Nobel Prize in 1973. Don't believe me? Google it. 1973, Ernst Otto Fisher, George Wilkinson, organometallic. That is the component in our product that actually reduces your fuel consumption and reduces your emissions. The way they did it is they literally figured out how to atomize a fuel cell. So when you put Fuel Factor X in your tank of gas or your bulk tank of diesel or bunker fuel or in your generator, it doesn't matter what kind of fuel. If it is combustible, it works. E85, jet fuel, anything, diesel, gas, it doesn't matter. Any application, home heating oils, it works in everything. So by making a fuel cell smaller in the combustion process, it ignites sooner, therefore it will burn longer, and you'll use more of the available BTUs in the fuel, which makes less go out your tailpipe. That's another huge benefit about Fuel Factor X. It's super green. You guys know that if every single person on earth tonight put Fuel Factor X in their tanks, we'd reduce our carbon footprint by 31% by morning. That's a fact. We've got 30 years of testing to prove that. It's actually on the My Daily Choice website. There's lots of carbon mass balance tests. So it's a super green product. And you can also, expect to see in the US, you expect to see about a 12 to 15% increase in your fuel. So, it's really like, let me ask you, if you gave me a $5 bill and I gave you a $20 back, Would you want to trade again? Absolutely. And that's what you do. You put $4 or $5 of this in your tank, you're going to save $20 or $30 each and every time you fill up. Right. So if there's an ATM that spit out $20 bills when you put $5 in it, you would want to tell everybody you know to go to that ATM, unless you just want to keep it to yourself. So that's all we're doing here. I mean, I call these little foil packs gas coupons. These things are $4.99. You put it in your tank. We guarantee you're going to save $20 on your fuel on that tank of gas or diesel, or we refund your money. Right now, it's just an IQ test. Are you smart enough to spend $5 to save 20 or not? Because you're going to buy gas, you're going to buy diesel, or you know somebody that's going to. And like I said, when I started, it's the most consumable product in the entire space of auto ships and network marketing and different things. So, I mean, like right now, we're literally closing $10 and $20 million deals in a comp plan. You know how many people get a lot of money off of that one deal? It's just crazy that we have the ability to do, or even the thought. I mean, go sell $20 million worth of juice, right? Or pills or anything. It just doesn't happen. But with Fuel Factor X, it's a legitimate possibility. So the other thing you're going to notice with Fuel Factor X is you're going to get, your engines are going to last longer. There's a lubricating agent. The thing that destroys engines is friction. What used to keep friction out of our engines was called lead. We went to unleaded, we went to low sulfur diesel, and now engines just don't last as long as they used to because there's less lubricating agents in the fuel to keep that from happening. So now putting this in, you get all the lubricity back, your cars last longer. You guys know that the average person, their car is their second largest investment they'll ever make in their whole entire life, next to their home. So why not make them last longer, right? If you can get longer life out of your car, save money on gas, etc. It's just crazy the amount of savings. A lot of people just want to monetize the savings on 12 to 15% on fuel economy. Here's what I'll tell you too. If you're international or you know international people, you're going to go to 20 to 25% savings. And let me tell you why. America has the cleanest, most refined fuel in the world, right? There's like places like Africa sell us their refined fuel. Asia, same thing. Then they give their consumers the less refined stuff and not the good, such good fuel. So you put this in other markets and it really just does crazy, crazy things. So the other thing I'll mention, I'm a big diesel guy. Today I own a custom farming business. We burn, I think I fill my 5,000 gallon fuel tank every week, it seems like, and I buy it by the gallons and drums. But if you're a diesel guy, in 2008, they went to the regeneration systems, 2008 to 2012, depending on the brand. And so now you got to buy DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, to put in your trucks. The regen systems are always failing because they've never, still to this day, haven't got them all figured out. You will reduce, if not eliminate, your regeneration problems, and you'll also cut back on your DEF the same amount as you do on your fuel. So yeah, I'm glad Josh brought that up. 1/4 ounce to 20 gallons. It's the most highly concentrated, most effective fuel treatment on earth. The treat ratio is 1 to 10,000. So if you have a 10,000 gallon tank, it's only 1 gallon of product into that. Why? Every other fuel additive, you got to put 2 quarts, right, into a 20 gallon tank. This treats 20 gallons because we're not a fuel additive. We're not adding to the fuel. We're treating the fuel and atomizing fuel. So it's a chemical reaction that makes it happen. And that's what makes Fuel Factor X the absolute best fuel treatment on earth. And that's why it works in any type of fuel. If you look at the big boys like Lucas or STP or these different brands, they have a gas additive and they have a diesel additive. Why? Because they're increasing cetane, which is diesel, or octane, which is gas. And doing that is a no-no because it actually will cause warranty issues. We don't do anything to octane, anything to cetane. It's simply just atomizing fuel cells so they ignite sooner. And so there's no warranty issues. A lot of people ask that question, is going to avoid my warranty? The answer is no, it cannot, because we don't change any specification in the fuel. It's still the same fuel being burned, just at a smaller rate of fire when it comes through. So to make it super simple, and this is the simplest way I've figured out how to explain it for people that aren't kind of motorheads, is if you go light a fire, do you go find the biggest log you can find, or do you find a twig, a kindling, right? You find something small because it ignites easier. Same thing with your fuel. The smaller the droplet coming out of your injectors into combustion, the sooner it's going to ignite, it's going to burn longer. So that's how the product works. That's where the magic happens. There's also other things in it like demulsifiers, which gets the water out of your fuel, which is big in the marine industry. There's rust and corrosion inhibitors. I seen, I think it was Joe that was out on a boat, or Jeff. One of them's Jeff. Jeff's out on a boat. Put in your boat, Jeff. You probably already do. But there's rust and corrosion inhibitors, so you don't get any rust in your fuel lines and your tanks. There's polymerization retardants if you have bulk tanks like I do on the ranch and the farm here. So no bacteria and algae and rust doesn't get in the bottom of my big bulk tanks. I don't have those problems. So there's pretty much, if it needs to happen to fuel, this product will do it. It's done it for, 4 or 5 decades, and it's doing it still for here at My Daily Choice. So that's kind of the rundown on the product, how it works. And if anybody has questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
That is amazing. Chris, I feel like I just went to college and I only understood half the words you said. But what I do know is this, y'all. I went from premium gas in an SUV that was a luxury SUV, and I can now do regular as opposed to paying the premium price. And I know it's because of whatever words and octane and all that stuff that just came out of your mouth. I know that's why.
That is another big benefit. If you have a
huge.
if you have a sports car and you're buying that 93, 95 octane, you're going to save 90 cents a gallon right out of the gate. Go back down to 89, put this in, you'll have no spark knock. You're not going to have any of the problems. Still won't void your warranty, and you're actually going to get better performance on the cheaper fuel.
It's just wild. This is such an incredible product. And, one of the questions, and this may be a simpleton question, but it's one that I had when I first started. How do you put it in your tank? I mean, we know what it does, but how do we use this? When do we use it?
So the cool part about it is you use it every time you fill your tank. Again, it's not like fuel injector cleaners, for example. You run them through every 10 or 15 tanks to keep your, everything clean from the rooter to the tutor. By the way, there's a fuel injector cleaner in this product too. So your system's always clean. But you need to put it in every single tank, or you don't get that chemical reaction that gives you the actual fuel economy and reduction in emissions. And the way to put it in your tank, I mean, it's simple. If you have just a car, or your soccer mom, maybe whatever, right here, these little sachets, you rip the top off of them, put it down in your tank, squeeze it in, wash it in when you fill up your tank. Again, that treats 20 gallons. If you want to buy it more economically, I would recommend buying these 4-ounce bottles right here. Matter of fact, if you look right here, there's a little bulb that this sends up, so you can, that much right there will treat 20 gallons of fuel.
Wow.
If you want to treat, if your tank's bigger and want to treat 40, it's labeled right here. It's in ml and ounce. And you just put that in, you dump it in your tank, you put the lid back on, put it in your door count. So it's super convenient, super easy to use. And it's just works.
I love it. Awesome, Chris. Well, thank you so much. And, for everyone that's on here, shoot, if this ain't on your Brand Bucks order tonight, I don't know why you don't want to save money. And more importantly, if you aren't sharing it, I don't know why you don't want to make money. And those are really the two beautiful things that we can do with this incredible product. So Chris, thank you so much for being here tonight. We love you, and we'll see you at the next live in-person event.
Awesome. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. Thanks for having me.